Have you ever met an open socialist before and sat and talked with them on a porch?
No, you drank it yet.
You.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Sometimes politics is a lot less straightforward than we're led to believe, especially in a place like this. Elliott County looks like any other part of rural Kentucky, but it's not. In fact, it might have the weirdest politics of any place in the country. That's because Elliott County voted for Democrats in every presidential election for 144 years straight. FDR, Truman, JFK, LBJ, Carter, Clinton, Obama, and then in 2016, vote for Donald Trump?
Yep.
2020?
Yep.
2024?
Yep. Definitely.
The single largest swing from Obama to Trump happened right here. But a few years later, something just as surprising happened. Elliott County voted for Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat. So what's the deal with Elliott County? Is it just an outlier? Or is there something deeper going on here? Something with implications that could reach far beyond eastern Kentucky. Did you hear that? Is that on camera?
Here's one. You might recognize what's going on. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. If you told me you paid me $100,000 to tell you what's going on here, I would be broke.
Yeah.
That guy is Donnie. He runs the Big Four store in Elliott County. Here you'll find Union stickers, Trump shirts, and a rare collection of fine art made by Donnie himself. So how many generations are you in Elliott County, and who's this?
That's my dad. He built the house in 1950, and that's the house I got now. I've been here all my life, tarred pipe fitter, been in the store business for 24 years. I mean, some of the best people you meet around here.
Elliott is home to some 7,000 people, 99% white. Aside from a few churches, a gas station, and a prison, there's not a whole lot here. But it is known for one thing. This county, it's the only one in the country that has voted 144 years straight for Democrats. And then it flipped 45 points to Trump. Only county in America that did that. How do you explain that? Why did such a radical shift happen? What's your understanding of that?
Well, I don't care what, if I was a coon hunter and I bought a dog, and I sell coon hides, and my dog won't tree a coon, I'm gonna get me another one. Same way with these two guys. Biden ain't done nothing for me, and I'm gonna switch to a new dog.
What do you think of George W. Bush?
Piece of shit. I started out a Democrat because my father was. And that was just something, it's just like your last name. You're a Democrat.
Growing up, I was always taught you gotta vote Democrat, vote Democrat, vote Democrat.
What did it mean to be a Democrat? Was it connected to anything?
That is just how the county went. The Democrats was giving money for the county, and we were trying to get roads fixed, trying to, make this county something.
Yeah.
And that's who was helping us.
When a county votes for one party for 144 years straight, it can be hard to know where that kind of loyalty even comes from. Some folks say that FDR's New Deal had something to do with it. The New Deal put millions to work building roads and schools and bridges, created Social Security, and established by law the right to form a union. And for decades, it cemented the idea that Democrats were a party for the working class.
Democrats were looked at for the poor people. Yep. They were for the poor people.
Our great-great-grandparents were Democrats, and, just taught through the years from FDR on. They believed that was the union support. And it has somewhat changed in this area in the last few election cycles, if you will.
Yeah.
It's changed drastically, honestly.
As recently as the mid-90s, Kentucky was a Democratic stronghold. Democrats controlled the State House, the governor's mansion, and the majority of congressional seats. But eventually, things began to shift. The party of workers and unions became champions of free trade and Wall Street. Democrats stopped chasing blue-collar voters in rural areas and shifted their attention to white-collar voters in the suburbs. And that left a vacuum that Republicans, who supported basically the same corporate agenda, were happy to fill. By 2012, Elliott County was the last rural county to vote for a Democrat in a presidential election. Not just in Kentucky, but across all majority white counties in the South. Then, 2016 rolled around.
Sadly, the American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back.
I think a lot of it is that we're tired. I'm not saying that Donald Trump's not crooked. I'm not saying Joe Biden's not crooked. They're all crooked.
Yeah.
But, you know, whenever we get an extra $30 or something in our paychecks, that makes a difference. I'm doing hay to try to feed the kids. I'm doing everything that I can know to do as, you know, not only a parent,
Yeah.
but as a person, you know.
Is that getting harder?
It's getting harder.
It's getting harder as time goes on.
Yes.
How much opportunity is there for kids that are born in this county? And do most of them come back and live here?
Most of them, there's nothing here to do.
Everything good come to Elliott County has been with a union job. You go away somewhere to work, drive 2 hours, come home, hoping to retire before you got hurt or crippled. That's the only people that have done well here.
Like the rest of the country, Elliott County has seen a dramatic decline in unions, which went hand in hand with stagnating wages. At the end of the 80s, the median household income in Elliott sat at $37,000, adjusting for inflation. Today, it's about $39,000. In other words, they haven't seen a raise in over 30 years, while the cost of living has only gone up.
Even after 140 years of voting for Democrats, we have lived not in poverty, not near the poverty line, in extreme poverty.
The poverty level being so hard, it was like, does he have a rope to throw us? And that's what it was.
Trump wasn't getting votes from New York City and LA and all these big towns. He was getting votes from these little counties all across America.
Yeah.
I think it's his anger, and everybody else in this country is angry. His anger filled his campaign, and it was like, oh, I felt this for such a long time. Someone's relating to me.
We hear this phrase, why do people vote against their interests? Listen, it makes me mad because that's telling us we're dumb, and we're not.
Andy Beshear is the governor of Kentucky. In 2019 and in 2023, Beshear pulled off something most people thought was impossible. He won as a Democrat in Trump country.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is kind of crazy. Take a look here.
Both times he won Elliott County.
I certainly think, at least for me, winning Elliott County was about waking up every day focused on the same issues that Kentuckians wake up and worry about. It's not the outrage of the day in Washington, D.C. It's things like, do I have a good job, one where I can afford to raise my family? Who is moving my life forward?
Beshear won partly by distancing himself from the National Democratic brand, which has become toxic in Kentucky. But he's not a moderate either. He ran as a pro-union candidate, campaigned on raising teacher pay, and implementing universal pre-K. And like many folks in Elliott County, Beshear traces his political roots back to the New Deal.
FDR showed up, and he produced. And my grandparents met on a WPA project. They were Democrats their entire life, and FDR was a major reason why.
That approach has informed the way he's governed.
Kentucky is one of the only southern states that has seen growth in union membership each of the last 2 years, and it is significant. I mean, we're building the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. They're being built by organized labor.
These projects were possible in part thanks to trillions of dollars in investments that passed under Joe Biden. But the jobs are a 3-hour drive from Elliott County, so it's unclear if those investments will translate to votes. Did Governor Beshear earn your vote?
Yes, he did.
Did Joe Biden earn your vote?
No. The way President Trump ran the United States from a Kentuckian's perspective felt better to me than the way President Biden has run the United States. I don't really know how to dive into that any deeper. It's a perception. It's odd that I'm torn here because I support Governor Beshear every day. Governor Beshear has been great for this state.
Beshear has shown that Democrats can win in Elliott County, but he still isn't putting up numbers like Trump. No one is. What's it take to earn the vote in Elliott County, and how do you think Democrats win it back?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. I can't answer that, and it's going to be lopsided again. People around here don't really feel what happens in D.C. affects them that much. I mean, they never feel it personally, other than we go to the gas pump and it's $3.33 or $3.35 or whatever it is. We're only seeing that, and so many people, you know, they want somebody to blame, I think.
All of these people, by the millions they're coming in, they are destroying your Social Security and your Medicare.
Fear is at the heart of Trump's politics, and few issues bring up more fear than the southern border. Where's the border rank for you in the list of, you know, political issues that matter?
1.
It's number 1?
Yes.
How long have you felt the way that you do about the border?
Probably in the last 2 years. The way they're letting them come in, and it's like, you know, it's like there's got to be a stop to it somewhere.
Why do you think so many people are coming up across the border?
Well, it has to be, you know, they've got to be a hell of a spot down there. I mean, I can understand what's going on. They just want something better.
What are those forces that are keeping us on the road, whether you're coming from Kentucky or Honduras? Why are people moving around?
Feed their family. It's not here. That's what's broke up community too, because you had to move away from your family. You got brothers you hadn't seen in 10 years because they're stuck in Michigan on an hourly job.
They're leaving horrible conditions to come here. I get it.
Right.
I understand that.
Right.
But there has to be a right way of doing it. Where is our funding for those people? Why are we not putting it back into our Social Security, into our veterans?
Why aren't we doing that?
You tell me. You're the leftist.
Yeah. So one of the things that I am always thinking about too is people who are in that situation, or working people who don't have the luxury to not go to work.
Mm-hmm.
They'll look around at other working people and say, I can't get by because of what you're doing or something. And meanwhile, in the background, we're adding more billionaires year after year after year. These people having not just $1 billion, but 10 and 20 or $200 billion. Mm-hmm. Where do they fit into this situation where somebody who's cutting hay in 90-degree weather to feed the kids, where do the billionaires fit into that equation?
Good luck to them. I'm glad that they have it. But how many people did they hurt to get it? And 9 times out of 10, they're high in a political world.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they're using government funds and what they know on the insider to make that money.
You said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. When I need something from them, 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them, they are there for me.
So
and that's a broken system.
When it's people coming across the border versus, say, billionaires or something like that, who's got the most influence over the problems that you think we face as a country?
Millionaires.
Yeah.
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 Do you think you have more in common with migrant from Mexico or Donald J. Trump?
Great question.
A migrant from Mexico.
Yeah.
A migrant from Mexico. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're out here working to survive to feed our families.
There are a lot of theories about why a place like this would go for a billionaire like Trump. Maybe it's because Trump said the quiet part out loud. That politicians in both parties had abandoned the working class. Maybe he gave them someone to blame for their problems. Immigrants, queer kids, radical socialists. But here's another theory. They voted for Trump because both parties felt captured, caught up in a system that no one here could influence.
In their mind, they thought Trump was going to save us. He's not a politician. He's going to be a little bit different. It was completely a lie. We're just in such a dire need for things to get better that they're grasping at any straw that they can reach for.
Andy Beshear offered one alternative, an old-school approach that reaches for what the Democratic Party used to be, a party that stood with the working class in small towns and in big cities. But Beshear is fighting an uphill battle. Even in a county that voted blue for 144 years, Trump is still winning by huge margins. How do you compete with that? Maybe the answer is to do something that Trump would never do. Unite the working class by taking on the biggest threat we face.
I just don't like the big guy, because the big guy's screwing you probably, or he wouldn't be the big guy. You know what I'm saying?
If we keep fighting amongst ourselves, that makes it easier for politicians to get a hold of you.
How do we get to a situation where the working class is united around common interests? Do you think that's possible?
I would love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you could get the working class to stick together, you know, maybe it would make a difference. It'd have to.
Hi, thanks for watching our video. If you like this story and you want more stories like this, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel to get more Perfect Union in your feed. And if you have stories that you want us to investigate, drop them in the comments below.